Yes, hi. I'm Dr. Beatriz Martini, and today with me, I'm going to be speaking with Kendra. She is a functional nutritionist. In her journey, she too actually started down this path as a result of her illness. Wouldn't it be nice if we could actually nip it prior to us having to become ill and notice when we're not feeling quite right? So, with further ado, let's start this podcast with ongoing services and myself, Beatrice. So, Kendra, thanks for coming on board. It's great to chat to you again. I think that you've done so many things, and also this functional medicine that you've undertaken. It's been as a result of your own journey. Can you please introduce yourself to our listeners and also let them know what led you down this path? Today's topic is more about the fact that we're told that X must be Y. So everything to me, like some of my clients have said, oh, I'm getting my bloods back next week, I'll let you know. And everything seems to hinge on that. It seems to be almost like a gospel that we're given. This is what your body's telling you. You should be listening to it. And you think, hang on a minute. Anyway, please, Kendra.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for having me. So I'm Kendra Taylor. I'm a functional nutritionist and I am the founder of Basework Wellness. So, what functional nutrition is it's actually quite simple. It's really looking at your life as a whole and your symptoms, and then finding lifestyle approaches, nutrition, maybe supplementation, and also testing to understand what is actually going on. And it's not like Western medicine where you're
Mm,
testing your blood and then they just run like a random panel. This is really looking more in depth and it's also interpreting things on a functional level. So, what does that mean? Western medicine looks at um, your blood. So, like your patients
mm,
that come back with their blood and they say, well, my doctor said everything looks good. I don't know, but I still have all these symptoms. And I don't know. I guess I'll just take ibuprofen and do work out more and eat less or whatever the issue is. But they are looking at their levels based on disease. So
mm,
their levels that they're reading are this is what this disease markers are. And if you're inside of that, then you're fine. If you're outside or below, then we need to look at things if it's high or
mm,
low. So functional looks at a healthy population.
yeah,
So you and I, we're as healthy as we can be and we're trying to be better, but we're also going to have to like do some blood or some Dutch testing is one that I do as a cortisol test. It's a 4-point cortisol test and it also looks at your sex hormones. And then there's a different test for that I use that is looking at your microbiome. So then you look at these results and you assess them from a healthy population. So if you're
mm,
not in this ideal range or you're lower or higher, then we need to look and get you within the healthier range to keep
yeah,
you from going to the doctor and
mm,
having something that's actually like, God forbid, cancer or diabetes, something really bad that you're catching before. So functional medicine is just basically taking this information and then putting together, looking at how you're eating and balancing your blood sugar, getting you outside, working on your community, working on your nervous system. That's just it's multifaceted
mm.
and it all comes together to help people live their healthiest lives.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
I love the fact that it's so much more holistic and that you also give people tools, because if you tell them, get outside, get some D's, get some fresh air, do some exercise, you're looking at more than just, as the dis-ease of the body that it's going through.
Yeah.
I find that a lot of people have got a tendency to look at Dr. Google and and social media and say, oh, I must have this because my symptoms are X, Y, and Z. So they start following a whole lot of people where they could be right, they could be wrong. But I mean, they go into this panic mode and they
Mm-hmm.
seem to go down the rabbit hole more than actually trying to get the right help for them. So I
Yeah.
guess the first thing would be for them to start regulating their stress so they can think clearly enough.
Mm-hmm.
So when people have no idea where to start, how would you say, you could look at this or you could look at that, or more to the point, start knowing yourself so that you can differentiate when you're not feeling right and trusting that intuition that's telling you that there is something, out of balance here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that in the perfect world, if somebody was really open to like, I don't feel well, what do I do? And I want to follow it, I would say I would watch your blood sugar. So
Mm.
following a blood sugar friendly diet. And what does that mean? It means eating protein before you're eating your carbohydrates. So in the morning, don't have coffee and then have a pastry. Have eggs and sausage or something, and then have your coffee after you have a few bites and chew your food slowly. Slow down. Eat and be present and not like in a state like, "Ugh, I gotta get out the door. I'm gonna eat this in the car," because that's just like chaos. Yeah. Everyone's always so busy, and it's like, first of all, slow down. Let's just do very simple things. That's like I think that's the main thing. And then if they can slow down, then they can listen to their intuition and be like, "Oh, I don't have 5
Mm.
things like going on around me in my brain, and I can feel, oh, this food feels good for me," or, "Oh, I don't really feel good after that meal. I wonder what that was. What did I what little things could I tweak here? Should I add more protein?" Because protein is really important, and also it's like, "Eat more protein. Oh my gosh, have a protein bar here and there." But no, it's eating whole foods, and you need to have fiber. But protein really does make it easier for you if you're eating that first to at least get all of those nutrients that you need, because as we get older, our muscle depletes and we need to maintain our protein intake to maintain our muscles. And that also buffers your blood sugar, which goes hand in hand with your cortisol. So that's your fight or flight, or feeling tired or feeling wired. So I think those are my most important things that I get to people, and then we go from there.
Yeah, I mean, we get told about chewing our food time and time again. Like I've heard somewhere between 35 to 50 chews per mouthful.
Yeah.
But people don't, well, some people do realize that digestion starts through the nose. When we're cooking and we start smelling those amazing aromas that we're doing with the cooking, it actually starts the digestive process. And by
Mhm.
actually chewing it, it's like when, our kids are little, that we actually mush the food. A, because they don't have any teeth, but at least that makes it easier for the body to digest. So we're actually chewing our food to make it smaller, that
Mhm.
has the saliva with it, that helps the breaking down process. So the stomach doesn't have to work so hard.
Exactly. Yeah, your stomach doesn't have teeth, and
Yeah.
so when you're inhaling your food and then you're not chewing it and letting the digestive enzymes work,
Yeah.
then you're gonna be bloated. Or, like, chugging water, that's one thing that I see people do all the time. They just, like, drink so much water, and that also dilutes your stomach acid and the enzymes, and so your stomach can't break down the food
Mm.
as those people are usually the fast eaters too.
Yeah. Or the people that don't want to eat too much, so they fill themselves up with water. So for me, the rule of thumb is half an hour before and half an hour after food,
Yep, that's what I recommend.
so that the body can actually get on with doing what it's supposed to do. Now, most of the people I see, they don't come to me until there is a real pain involved, whether they can't walk properly, they can't sleep properly, they're not digesting properly, they've got, menopausal issues, any of that. But they won't do anything until the 11th hour. Why do you think we're so stubborn? What do you find in people?
I wish I knew. You can really tell people will come to you and tell you their whole life story, everything that's wrong with them. And then you say, well, have you considered doing this? No. Well, why not? I mean, how about this? Well, I'm going to go to my doctor. How's that been going? It hasn't worked. And I've been doing this for years.
Yeah.
I don't understand why it's so hard for people to relinquish the control of the fact that what they're doing isn't working, and it's not only in their health, it's like several areas in their life. But I find that often and they're like, "Oh, yeah, it's not working, but I'm gonna figure it out by myself and just like buy some supplements or like look at Instagram or TikTok." And then they find themselves 6, 8 months later spending so much money and feeling worse. And sometimes still they need to drag themselves through the dirt to then feel the absolute worst before they'll come see us.
Yeah, I know. I don't quite understand it because even if they're not feeling 100%, they're 90%, it just makes their treatment so much quicker and so much shorter than
Mhm.
instead of spending years trying to get better, you're only spending a month, 2 months because you're back on track and you haven't wasted any time and you can keep your happy place.
Right? Yeah, that's when I finally get people to work with me and I do a 90-day one-on-one program with them. And they'll start feeling so bad. And some of them have done years and years. And I'm like,
Yeah.
we can keep doing this. But in the 90 days, they're like, oh, I actually lost all this inflammation. Like, I don't, their face visibly changes. They are
Mm.
happier. They have energy to go do things and live a life. And it's like, we're all living this life that we want it to be great, but if you don't give up some things that aren't working, you're just going to be stuck. And it's just sad because I want people to be happy and to live a great life instead of look back and be like, "Oh, I wasted all those years being sick."
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And I feel like,
Yeah.
we're more than a horse. We can be mules,
Stubborn.
stubborn. But I mean, yeah, I think the problem that I find that a lot of people have been taught from a very young age that you'll be fine, stiff upper lip, get on with it, go and do stuff. And then they just keep on this treadmill that doesn't seem to serve them.
Yeah.
So I think, I mean, education is the beginning of any kind of change. And it's when people start to realize that, hey, this isn't so hard, it's quite good. And I'm actually feeling better, then I might do it.
Yeah.
And then get resentful because, oh, I don't want to see you 2 or 3 times more because I don't need to. I'm feeling so much better and you're so expensive. And it's like, if you're going to go to a doctor, how much are you going to give them?
Mhm.
X-ray, surgery, anesthesia.
Yeah, and then your months of your life recovering and antibiotics, and then you're not gonna feel well. It's like, this is so important because if you are sick, then yes, I do think the doctor is gonna help you, but you can prevent so much stuff if you just treat your body well and you just do the basics. That's like surprisingly when people finally work with me or like figure out, like for you too, like how easy it is to feel
Mm,
good. That everyone wants to overcomplicate everything.
yeah.
But
And I agree with you. I mean, if I've got a broken arm or I've got something wrong with me, yeah, by all means, I'm going to go to a Western doctor to set my arm or to pull out anything that needs to be pulled out.
yeah.
But then I'm going to go and get healthy.
Yeah, that's so important. I have been a huge advocate of that even for my family. So
Mm,
my dad has had several surgeries, and it's because he works really hard and he owns a plumbing and heating construction business. So he's a physical labor for like his whole life. And he
mm,
also played sports, and he never took care of those injuries from when he was really competitive. And so now he's like getting shoulder surgery. His neck has problems and his
mm,
knee. He's like, "Oh, well, it says I'm not pre-diabetic. These are my numbers." And I was like, "Dad, you are pre-diabetic. This is the problem." I'm like, "These are the numbers." Okay, all right. I'm like, "All right, this is what we're going to do. You're not going to buy your white packaged bread, and
yeah.
you're not going to buy Jiffy. You can have it, but buy the sourdough at the bakery." Like, I don't know
Mm,
if you guys have Walmart, but like Walmart or like Safeway, like these are like stores. I'm
yeah.
from a very rural area in Colorado, so I think it's Walmart and Safeway. And I'm like, go to the bakery and get the
Yeah.
real peanut butter and get the real sourdough. Well, it's just not as good. I'm like, it's gonna be good once you start changing your taste buds.
Mm.
And he did. That's one of the most stubborn guys I know. And I had to really push him to do it. And, and he's like, oh, all right.
Yeah. How did you get into being a functional nutritionist?
I didn't know. That's the thing. So when I
Mm,
was really sick, I didn't know what it was because I was 23 and I finally figured out that I was celiac, and I was working in a sushi restaurant. And I was basically born with a nut allergy, so I have anaphylaxis. So I knew at a very early age, at like 3, that that was the case. And then I never grew out of it. And I didn't know about holistic medicine practices. It wasn't until I got so sick and I kept being failed by Western medicine because my symptoms were I was always very small and I was a competitive athlete and I had extreme bloating and I was tired. And I'm like,
mm,
I don't know, like this is weird. And it felt like I had a cactus in my stomach all the time. And then I figured out like, oh, went to an allergist and they ran some panels. They're like, oh, well, you're allergic to all of these outdoor pollens. You're allergic to all these foods. And it looks like you're celiac. So you can keep eating it and then we'll test you for this, or you can't. And I was like, I'm just not going to eat it because immediately within 2 weeks, like I had lost like 10 pounds of just like being puffy. And then it just got worse because stress triggers your autoimmune disease. Then as I grew older, there was just like, it's stressful being a single woman and working in medicine. And I work in medical device as well. So you're always working, you're always on call. And during the pandemic is when things really shifted and got way worse. I had had a bunch of food allergies, but during the pandemic, I was alone in a new city. It was in San Francisco. So that is how I found holistic medicine. But
mm,
I got so sick and I was down to eating like 10 foods. I could not eat anything else. And went for a routine COVID test and I told him my symptoms and he said, that's something's very wrong with you. You need to go. We're scheduling you an emergency colonoscopy and endoscopy. So within 2 days, I was driving myself and paying somebody to pick me up from there because I didn't have anyone around to go to that. And they said,
mm.
everything looks fine. I don't know. And I was like, are you kidding me? Oh, okay. So I guess like I don't know what to do. But she said, I have patients that are like you, and they seem to get a lot of help from this functional doctor um, over here in like Pack Heights. So I visited them. He did not really help me, but that opened my eyes to the whole
Mm,
world of functional medicine. And
mm,
then they put me on AIP, which is a very restrictive autoimmune protocol diet. And that, along with not having any friends around, was very restrictive and made it feel like my
Mm.
world was even smaller. And it was
Yeah.
very stressful because I came from having an open door policy. Everyone just came to my house. I had friends over all the time, to moving to San Francisco and then being so alone. So that's when I started, like, I had more time also during the pandemic, and all these things started coming up on Instagram. And I was like, oh, what's this? And then I did more research. I found a functional nutritionist who then did all the testing and listened to me. And I was like, are you kidding me? This
Mm.
is a life changing. I went to Reiki, I went to psychics, I went to astrologers, I went to anything that you can think of. I did
Mm.
it, and nothing helped until I found functional nutrition and the different way of testing. I then I went to Cornell and did a certification for nutrition. And then I was like, oh, that was kind of easy. I already knew that stuff. So I looked and I figured out what certification, the NTP, that the woman who helped me did. And I signed up for that school. And then, unfortunately, I didn't know that they didn't teach testing in NTP. So then I had to get certifications after I graduated. But I did it all because I was like, my mission is to help people who are
Mm.
going through the same thing. Because I probably spent $100,000 over those years. I felt horrible, and nobody needs to live like that. Like recently, I still get stressed, and I had to go to acupuncture, and then I had to go to the chiropractor, and I had to drive all over LA for this. And I was like, this is crazy. I don't know why anyone wants to drive all over to go to doctors when you could just do one thing. I
Yeah,
guess
that's true.
you don't know until you know.
No, I know. It's so difficult because there is so much information out there, and the internet is great. The internet's opened up so much, but at the same time has also been so overwhelming with the amount of
Oh,
information and the differences in the information. Because one thing, you've got this and then you've got that one. And what I find is going to the source of where the information came from, because a lot of it happens to be, I don't know, some is bogus, some is clinical trials, but then you also have to read who put the clinical trial together. Was it a pharmaceutical that did it? I mean, who paid for it? And you think, oh, just too much information. Why can't people just be honest about it and say, look, this is what we found, these were the parameters that we use, and that's it. You decide how, whether this resonates with you or not.
yeah. I think the more that you know to look for the information, and then you realize that it's all a money play, and it sucks because it's like Nestle did a chocolate study for I think it was, is it Reservedol? I don't know. There was something, and it's like, oh, you need to have this, and it's really good, and it's in dark chocolate, and it's like, who paid for that study? Them. And if you eat this much amount that's like so bad for you, you wouldn't. Or red wine, like, oh, it's really good for you. It's good for your heart. No, it's not. It's freaking poison. Yeah, I think wine is great, but I don't even drink it anymore because it makes me so sick. So,
Yeah. Well, we had a company here, well, we still have, it's Ribena, and they kept advertising that they had the highest vitamin C content. Now, I think it was 14-year-old girls decided to test the different concentrations of different theoretical, cordials that said, oh, this is our vitamin C content, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, they found that Ribena did not contain the highest vitamin C, so they had to change their marketing. And they also got a measly $140,000 fine for false advertising. Now, in the meantime, I mean, that doesn't sound like a lot, and it's not, because they've been, using this slogan for decades. So they were the ones that were raking the money. I mean, this is my own personal view, because they were more expensive, and because even me, I got sucked into it when my kids were little, that I would buy that as a result of having higher vitamin C concentration. So
Yeah.
therefore you have to drink less to get the same.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's an economy of scale. So swings and slides is about the same. And I think that's what this is what I'm alluding to. And you are as well, that it's all about money. It's got nothing to do with, you know, this is healthier for you or that's not. Like all this zero stuff.
Yeah.
Zero
It's
sugar,
true.
it's great for you.
Yeah. No, it's not good for you. The fake sugar is bad for you, but then the real sugar is also bad for you. And it's like, okay, guys, like let's just not consume that stuff. It's not that I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I will have a Coke Zero every now and then because that's like the only thing that I have. But I'm like, it's not great, and it's not like it's still as bad as alcohol. It's just not good for you overall.
But it's not the fact that you're drinking it, it's the amount that you're drinking that makes
Oh
the
yeah,
difference.
the
And the
amount makes
frequency.
even like so all of this fast food or like oh, it's healthy fast food. It's a protein bar that's really good
Mm,
for you, it has all this stuff. Everything is so convenient because I don't remember the exact dates, but let's say like the 50s. So like McDonald's starts and it used to be actual grass-fed beef because it was a local place. And people started to work so much because that's the nature of our world. You have to
mm,
work consumer world and you have to work to make money. And if you're working and you didn't bring your lunch or you're working so many jobs to pay for your bills because everyone has to now, they're not they're just too tired to make something, so they're getting fast food. So the quality of the food has changed over time. And so now it's literal garbage.
mm.
And you can see that people are like
Yeah.
they went from like looking 50s healthy to like what is this? I mean, this is not healthy. I know it's body positivity, but it's also like look at the inside of your body and look at your labs, and even Western medicine will tell you that you are not healthy. It's
Mm.
the quality and the quantity of the food.
Oh, I agree. I absolutely agree. Now, it's always hard to get those aha moments. Do you think that when people start trying to do something, I don't know, going for a walk so they can start doing some exercise? Because a lot of people, especially once they've put on a lot of weight, their joints become stressed, you know, the knees, the hips, the whole thing, the ankle, the feet. It's just too difficult because you're carrying all this mass. I mean,
Mhm.
the size of our hips is two fists. So when you
Yeah.
put that against us over our pubic symphysis, you think, wow, that's not very big.
Yeah, you're not big bones. Everyone's bones are the same.
Exactly. And and so therefore, even though our hips are the biggest bones, we're putting a lot of stresses on it. It's like women that are quite obese, because there's no other polite way of putting it, and they actually can break the clavicle of the baby when it comes out of utero.
Really?
Yeah, that's happened before. And
Wow.
it's like, just think of how much pressure and mass you're putting onto this little creature that's coming out. And yes, our bones are very pliable, they're very mushy at the time they come out, but still. And, you know, I normally suggest to people to go and walk in water. Um, do something that takes the weight off, but you start using your muscles. Sit on a chair, do yoga, chair yoga, do chair Pilates. You'd be surprised how much you can do sitting on your tush.
I agree. I had to learn all of how you can actually get a good workout without
Mm,
going pedal to the metal because
mm,
I hurt myself a lot
uh,
whenever I used to be like a psychotic triathlete person. And I was like, oh no, it's cool. I want to have all of this KT tape on me. I want to have this is like badge of honor. Like, look how badass I am. No, that was crazy until the point that I literally could not do anything. I couldn't do
yeah,
yoga because I broke my foot. So then I had to learn to do things in a different way that didn't load those joints. And then I had like back issues and stuff from wearing this boot for so long. So yeah, I totally can sympathize because I've had to deal with feeling horrible, but there's always something that you can do, and you start small and you work your way up
Yeah,
because
exactly right.
it'll always get easier. It will always get harder if you don't change.
Yeah, yeah. So it's a matter of, I mean, I think the easiest thing for people to do is to take stock of where they are
Mhm.
and decide where they want to be. What do they want to look like? I'd like to be a 20-year-old. Wouldn't that be great? And I
Yeah.
think, no, no, absolutely not. I do not want to go through this again. I
No.
want to learn all my lessons, you know, increase my vibrational frequency and go in a different direction.
Yeah.
But so, you know, and you can do pros and cons. What are you willing to give up? Like, what happens if you don't drink Coke every day, or if you sleep 8 hours instead of 10 hours every day? Start by sleeping 15 minutes less, then half an hour less, and start small, but start somewhere. And if
Yeah.
you can't remember what you used to be like, ask someone. Ask one of your friends. Do you think I've changed? Or your parents? I mean, parents can be so brutal.
Yeah. That's for sure.
They're just absolutely incredible. I mean, I was talking to my daughter the other day and she was reading this study because they were talking about stress and everything else. I don't know if you know this study. It was the one that they had the two groups. One group had makeup, movie makeup put on them, and the other one went out as they were. So they were themselves. The people that had makeup on them, they were disfigured kind of makeup that they had put upon them. So these
Oh.
people, when they went out into the world, they already had a pre-notion of how other people would feel them. And then just before they went out, they said, oh, we need to do a touch-up of your makeup before you actually go out. So basically what they did, they removed the makeup that they had put on so that they were normal. But they weren't allowed to look at themselves. They just had to go out.
Oh, okay, interesting.
And so it was the way that they interacted with people as a result of what they thought they looked like, rather than allowing people to interact with them as normal.
So what was the result?
So basically what it was, that when they came back, they were shown what they looked like, and they were sort of gobsmacked and taken aback, because some of the things that they had reported on was just a transference from what they were feeling, not the way that people were looking at them.
That is such a powerful study. Sometimes I think about that because, like, I don't feel good sometimes, and then I'm like, "Ugh, I don't look good. Ugh, people probably think this about me," and so then I portray that into the world, and they probably do think that about me because that's the energy that I'm putting out there.
Yeah, exactly right. Because you're gorgeous, intelligent. Yeah. So standing in your power, it's not how what people think of you, it's what you think of yourself that gets projected onto others. As you said, frequency.
Yep. What is that movie? There's a movie with what she has Addison's disease, I think. Amy Schumer, and she's like, I'm beautiful or something, this movie, and she nothing changes about her, but she got hit in the head and she's like, I know, I am so beautiful. And she just shows up differently and people are like, okay, yeah. And she just makes this whole life for herself and then she gets hit in the head again. She's like, wait, nothing changed. But it's funny how your perspective can shift everything for you.
Yeah. I mean, we've done this identity, which was quite interesting because someone said identity spelled by dent with two eyes at either end and with a Y as it's finished. And it's like, okay, that's an interesting way of looking at it, because we're taught that in order to survive the world, we have to have strong identities. Right? And
Mhm.
then Carl Jung came around and he said, well, you do. You have to build really strong egos and then you break them down. And you think, what? So the idea is that you peel away the onion so you can find your true self and you can live in your true self rather than live how others perceive you should be in the world.
Yeah, I think that's really powerful. And I wish of anything that people could at least, anything from this conversation, that they get that, because
Mm,
that is the catalyst, I think, for change, for
yeah,
positive change. If you can just step
yeah,
back and do that.
yeah. And I think because not all of us have got the same inkling, thought process, or whatever, that it would be nice if it was introduced in schools. Here they did a couple of clinical, well, they weren't clinical trials, they were trials with primary school kids regarding meditation. So they were, yeah, really cool. So they were taught to meditate. I think it was before they went to recess. So when they had their break, and then when they came back from break, they had another one. It was only 5 minutes. And they did it over 8 weeks. So they had all their data and they found that the number of disruptions in classroom, the number of kids that were sent to the principal, and this school just wasn't for what is deemed to be normal kids. It's what kids with also issues and ADHD. And so you already got kids that are on the spectrum that were part of this class. Now, by the end of it, they found that there was less class disruptions. Kids were no longer being sent to the principal, and that the kids were regulating one another
That's so
in
cool.
terms of behavior. Yeah, amazing. So, and towards, I think they were into week 3 or 4, the kids were actually asking to do a meditation at different times. Yeah.
Wow. You know what's funny? I've been trying to help my niece and nephews regulate, and my sister-in-law was like, "What are you teaching my kids?" I'm like, teaching them to breathe, teaching
Yeah.
them to calm their nervous system, and they don't
Yeah.
really practice it. And I tried to get them, all right, let's take a deep breath. And they're
Yeah.
like, okay, TT. But I think if it was something that was normal and like it, it was ex it was
Mm,
accepted within every family to take a deep breath and just be with your thoughts and calm down, these kids would
mm.
be so much better.
Yeah, I agree. No, true. I mean, I've got a 5-year-old granddaughter, and they were living in the States. So they just returned from Texas at the end of last year. And so she went to a Montessori kindergarten or a Montessori care.
Hmm.
They were taught how to regulate and how to meditate.
That's so cool. I didn't know they did that there.
Yeah, they were in Houston. And I think it's the different schools and their education as to how they actually talk to kids, teach kids. It's really interesting, but there should be more of it.
There should. It really helps just everybody overall.
It does. So, have you found that your nieces and nephews are better for it? Like, do they practice it?
No, their mom doesn't do it with them. I think she's like, okay, take a deep breath. But then when I'm with them, I'm like, let's do kid yoga. Let's
Yeah.
breathe. This is fun. Let's calm down. And then we make like a fun game out of it and they like it. But I don't live there. They live in Colorado. So I don't
Oh,
be there all the time, but we'll try to like FaceTime because they don't
yeah.
like sit on the FaceTime. Nobody does, but I'll FaceTime them. I'm like, let's do this game.
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah, it is hard.
yeah, but I think it's
Yeah.
important. If I had children, I would do that. I mean, with my little dog, she's been with me even when she was a puppy when I was in yoga teacher training. And I would
Ah,
take her and she would sit and she would like meditate and do sound baths. She's so good. She's so calm. And I would take her into like the shops with all like the jade and the crystals. And she like
mm,
always picked that one. So I got her one.
yeah. So if you've got a chill dog, they're picking it up from you. So it's your vibration that the dogs are picking up. Because a lot of people I know that meditate and have animals, their animals normally come and sit on their lap while they're meditating.
Yep. She loves it. And then we have the pimp mat and she likes that even. So it's always good. She's red
Yeah,
light mat meditation every night.
that's amazing. So do you weave a lot of the yoga teaching and methods into when you're treating your people?
Yeah, I do. I think the breath is really important and the meditation and finding something that even if it's not yoga, um, is really helpful. But I always send people, especially the ones that are having a hard time with chronic pain or they can't move very often,
Mm,
like a yin yoga, or refer them to an online class. You can just lay in your house with pillows, and it's so
mm,
powerful.
mm.
So I think,
Yeah.
yeah, it's really important. I actually want to start teaching again, and I used to teach at Core Power, which no shade on Core Power, but it's not really yoga in my opinion. It's not where I did my training. And so I just wanted to meet people when I lived in San Francisco and when I moved to LA. So I was doing that and then you're supposed to follow their protocol and it
Yes.
have whatever they say, but I didn't do that. And I would make people like shake and like jump around at first because it's good for your nervous system. And then I would lead them into like basically like a downhill slope from there and we would do a lot of breathing and chant om and I want to do that again with base work because
Mm,
like it's not like I invented it, but all of those things are so important for your nervous system and then building community with people
mm.
that are trying to find health in a different way is so important. So, I don't know, I was thinking about playing with that again.
It is. Well, if you've been thinking about it, just do it. Get out
Yeah.
there and you'll love it. You know, it'll feed your soul. It'll feed their soul.
Even if it's
Whenever,
just and it's fun.
yeah. I mean, I used to teach to keep me honest so that I would do my practice.
Yeah.
And I used to teach crazy amount of times, like 3, 4 hours a week. I mean, I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but when
That
you're going, yeah, because when you're going to the gym, at lunchtimes for you, you're doing your practice in the morning before work, and then you're putting teaching on top of that, it adds up like a lot.
and your work. I
And I
couldn't
was
do.
working full time.
Yeah, I was working so much with my job that I had to cut. I wasn't getting paid. I was doing it because it was fun. And I'm like, all right, this $20 a week is not adding up for all the hours and I have to make a choice. So
Yeah.
unfortunately it got cut. But it's a lot. It takes a lot to come up with how you're gonna do your sequencing and you have to do your music. And I'm sure you're like me and you don't like songs that have words. It's like it has to be a calm music because it's like you need to be here in your body and listening and not listening to like some beat to do yoga. I don't
Mm,
understand.
yeah. So I used to use, do you know Dr. Jeffrey Thompson?
No, I don't.
He's been doing music like forever. And so, depending on what I wanted to achieve with my class, like if it was a lunchtime class, I wanted them to go back to work upbeat. So, I would play music that was focus and basically focus and upbeat. If it was the end of the day, I would use different music to sort of start calming them down so they can, go home, go to sleep. And it's all based on alpha, theta, and delta,
Yes.
depending on what you want to achieve. Because, when the brain hears music, it syncs to it really fast. So that's an amazing way of changing people's moods.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. There's an app, it's called Soak, and it's like SOOAK, and it's
Oh,
like you soak yourself in it's like
oh
the
yeah.
different hertz, like the delta or the theta, and there's
Mm,
some energy or sleep, and
mm,
you can play it in the background of other music. So if you did have whatever
yeah.
music that you chose, you could play like a focus if you're in the middle of the day, or like a unwind for nighttime for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's really good. And I mean, people can do that anytime.
Hmm.
You can put timers on so they could reorganize their nervous system, bring it back to chill mode so you can do, well, more in a kind of sadistic way. But it's not about doing more, it's about bringing the system back to calm so you can continue doing things without being such an erratic mode that you want to stab someone.
Right? Yeah. It's like, no, we can keep doing things and do it in a good way.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we've gone through a whole lot of things in terms of getting people to see where they are,
Mhm.
understanding that the mind is huge when it comes to any ailment, because we can either be in denial or we can be so stressed that we go down, rabbit holes.
Yeah.
But the most important thing is to see when, you're not quite right, and don't listen to other people that are telling you you are and that your bloods are fine, because that's not necessarily so. A pregnant woman that goes to Western medicine and is bleeding, the doctors still today will tell them to go home and rest. If they came to a Chinese doctor, we would look at life very differently. Like, why is she bleeding? Why are things just letting go? Is it that one of her organs needs to be fortified so that it can take on the task of what it is meant to be doing,
Hmm.
rather than not doing anything about it?
Hmm.
So it is important to be discerning, but it's also important to do things for yourself. Don't always rely on someone else,
Yeah.
because even when they come to see you or they come to see me, the thing is, people need to be compliant.
Hmm. And if they don't agree, they're not going to do it.
Exactly right. So, you want to get better? Try it, but give it a reasonable amount of time. Don't assume that in a week or two you're going to be feeling your best again, because it's taking you probably years to get to where you are.
Hmm.
It's going to take more than a couple of weeks and a couple of visits to
Yeah.
get you feeling who you want to be.
Yeah. And you're going to feel good. And then you might feel like total garbage, because that is healing. It's not, ooh, I'm better. It's not climbing to Everest. Like, even that's hard. They don't do
Yeah.
it all the way. I was going to say, I think too that another reason, coming from, like, I guess my experience working with people and trying to get them to change their mind, is they've
Mm.
been so gaslit by Western medicine for so many years, and like wasted so much time and money, and they're just like, I don't know, like, are you really
Mm.
going to help me? Am I going to spend time with you? And is it going to be worth my time? Could I figure this out on my own? And then they get in their head, like you said, and then they waste more time and get worse. But it's like, I just don't, I don't know. I don't know how to fix that.
When you start doing yoga, you'll find that the sheer ability to control your autonomic nervous system is huge, because from there you can start thinking clearly. You even start to control your cortisol, because you're not making it spike every time you go into fight or flight mode.
Hmm.
And so therefore they'll have the space to think. But, you know, the most important thing is to get out in nature. You
Mhm.
know, start finding the space that allows you to think without being scared.
Yeah.
Trust your gut feeling because it'll start to kick in a bit more. And if someone's telling you something and it doesn't feel right, then listen to it. Because what I used to tell my yoga students, I'd say, don't give up on the modality. If you don't like me as a teacher, go find someone else. You
Yeah,
know,
there's always options and there's always somebody that they can relate to. Make the choice to be better and just stick to it. And it's going to be hard because change is always hard. But at the end, you're going to be really happy that you made the change.
yeah. So, as a closing note, what would you like to tell people?
If you're tired of being gaslit, like what we just talked about, or it's not even gaslit, it's just there's nothing wrong with you clinically. We don't see anything wrong with you, but you know that there is something wrong with you. There's somebody out there that can help you, like you or me, and there's different ways to go about helping somebody. And it's just you have to give it a chance and
Mm,
don't let the past experience really affect you moving forward because why waste I think we only live once for as far as I know. I don't have any proof otherwise, and if we do, some of us chose really hard lives, but even if it is multiple lives, make this one as good as you can and make the best decisions that you can for yourself because you owe yourself that and to be happy and don't let anything stop you from that.
yeah. Nice. Very nice. Thank you. All right, Kendra, on that note, I shall let you go. It was wonderful talking to you, and I hope we can do this again. We'll pick a
Yeah.
topic and we'll discuss it so that people can see the differences, the pros and cons, how some people look at stuff. And in the meantime, travel safely and well. And thank you.
Thank you so much.